Adrian, I am so thrilled that you are my first podcast, that I'm going to interview you because I see you as an amazing woman. And I know I was trying to decide, how do I introduce Adrianne
Mm.
Fekete? And it was like, you have a phrase that I love, which you always say, I have a PhD in human behavior, but not in the way you might expect. And I love that because your knowledge is true. It doesn't come from textbooks. It comes from being an expert private investigator in the last decades. And so I started looking you up and saying, who is this lady and what is she all about? And what's interesting is that you were the first female in North America to own a private investigation and security agency. And I'm going, wow, that's amazing. So I want to know now, well, we'll go back into that in a few moments, but what is it? Who are you today and what do you do?
Well, first, I have to address the fact that I feel so honored and blessed that I'm your first and you're my first. So thank you. You know how much I adore you. And it is different being on the opposite side for sure. But what do I do today? What don't I do today? So today I am a serial entrepreneur, founder. I am very involved in all the businesses that I have. But my passion really is empowering women, empowering all humans, to be quite honest with you. But my sort of love and my passion is empowering women and being able to showcase and elevate who they are, the trailblazers, the change makers, and just being able to lift them as they lift hundreds and thousands of other women. So that's what I'm doing today. Podcast. I'm doing, obviously, a publication, a magazine. I should have one of my books out this year. I'm thinking in fall. Our course is coming out, lots of keynote speaking. And so the story goes. But my legacy really is about elevating other people.
So that's the paragraph that I took out. And it
Mm.
was like, oh yeah, we need I want people to know more about you. So when I took a look at what have you done? You're an 8 times founder, you're a nationally recognized speaker, you're a publisher, you're an award-winning serial entrepreneur, you're a rock you're the rock star confidence creator, you're a thought leader, a trust behavioral expert, and most importantly, your passion is about empowering women and giving them the mastery of who they are and honoring them. And I really love that about you. And that's what convinced me to agree to be in your first publication. Was like, okay, I can't say no to this woman. She's a rock star herself. Like she is,
Aw.
you keep on calling everyone else a rock star, but
Well,
you're the
you
rock
are.
star.
Well,
You
thank
are.
you.
So
I so appreciate.
um, why is that important to you? And how is that different from other global media magazines, what you're
Mm,
doing now?
That's a great question. So it's important to me for many different reasons. You and I talked about this on my podcast, but growing up, I always knew I was different. There was the box, and I was always on the perimeter, and I always really thought outside the box, and that really did bring a lot of loneliness, sort of growing up and whatnot. But then soon as I got into the private investigation agency, sort of owning it, and again, I never was told I couldn't do anything because of gender, but sort of now writing my book, I do realize I was told a few times no because of gender, which I can chat to you about that after if you wish. But until I started getting these accolades and these awards and nominations for being the first female private investigation agency owner in North America, it was shocking to me because, with my dad, I would always build fences while, the girls were cooking cupcakes. Not that I didn't eat the cupcakes after, but I built the fences. I was the first female in high school to take auto mechanics. I tell the story all the time because I guess really this was my first sort of signal externally that I couldn't do something because I was a girl, because my dad never told me. Nobody told me I couldn't do something. And I never believed that. I always just believed, one of my other sayings is, regardless of gender, if you want to twist a wrench or you want to build a house, go and knock your socks off. And in high school, the girls got shipped off to home ec and sewing and all that fun stuff. And then the fellas got shipped off to auto mechanics. And of course, I, went down to the principal's office and said, no, I want to twist a wrench. I already know how to sew. I know how to cook. But to me, independence was having a vehicle, owning a vehicle. What if it broke down? I needed to know how it operated. So I don't know, it was 3 weeks later, finally my principal, and at the time they could yell in your face and said, you can't do this. And I just said, please just, sir, tell me why. He's like, fine, because you're a girl. And I was kind of like, be still my beating heart. Yes, I'm a girl, but what does that have anything? I was very confused by it. So, fast forward 20 years after that, when I became the first female in North America, it was very lonely. I was very much ostracized. I had no mentors within the industry, and I finally found one mentor. So if you knock on enough doors, I found one. His name was Tommy. To this day, I thank him for being there for me. But so much so that there was a lot of online bullying. There was a lot of things, cinder blocks thrown through our front window, as a sign of being rejected because of gender. So I always knew sort of innately inside me that I never wanted other women to feel the way that I felt, because it was a horrible feeling. And not only feeling alone, but also not being able to have sort of your network of people, and whether that network was even within your industry or not. And we talked a little bit about this before. I did feel very alone. And so I just, kind of put the blinders on. One of my non-negotiable healthy boundaries is to just always innately be very true to myself and not listen to the external noise, which could be social media or, these online things or the threats or whatnot. And it's worked for me. And so I just really kept focused. And, I ended up knowing that I would always be in a place and in a position as I continued. And I've had the private investigation agency for over 2 decades. And as I started to get back into the media, because that was sort of my first passion and first love, I knew that I would come to a place and a space that the last third of my life would be spent empowering other women, so they would not feel alone, so they would not be afraid, and so that I could lift them and empower them with all the knowledge that I had learned. Long
Okay, but
answer.
it's a great answer, though. I get it. However, what I also know about you and what I also see when you champion is that you also champion males. Even though you were pushed away, you champion males in the same way that you champion women. Why is that important to you?
It's so important to me. People have come to me and said, are you one of those feminists? And I would say absolutely not. And nothing against feminists, that, there is a place and a space, to burn your bra and woohoo and whatever. And that's not my space. My space is really elevating all humans that are kind, that are authentic. And I love males. I live with 5 of them. So, and I work with 28 of them. They're all former police officers, sergeants, detectives. There's some beautiful human beings. So regardless of gender, I feel that as women, when we have men that champion us, we tend to rise faster, quicker, with more support. So why can't we also acknowledge them?
So thank you. And I would agree with you on that one, is that all humans are worthy of trying to help them and empower them. You've got this global magazine right now, global media. Why is how is it different from other global media magazines? How is it different? Tell me a little bit about I Am Unbreakable theme.
Thank you. So what makes it, I like to call it, maybe just because I love unicorns, what makes it a publication unicorn is that, there's magazines for women in tech, fashion, wellness, cars. So I Am Unbreakable encompasses so many different industries, so many different, women in any age, any stage. It doesn't matter if you're doing something fantastic, whether you are being a rock star parent, or you're making a difference in your community, or you're running a multi-billion-dollar company, or you're the founder or entrepreneur that has made it big. To me, it's like, if you are a good person, you have a story. And our tagline is the struggle is part of the story, which again, I always show people, it's tattooed on my arm as a
Let's
reminder,
see it. Let's see it.
I don't know if you can see it well or not.
The struggle of
Is part of the story.
Sparkle.
So the struggle is part of the story, to me, is a reminder that, nothing good happens when you're comfortable. And you and I talked a little bit about this earlier. And, they always say there's 19 paved highways to, Easyville, and one dirt road uphill, sort of, to being a founder or an entrepreneur. It's tough. Life is tough. And I get that. And so I feel that, knowing that there's work and there's a hustle and there's something that has to be, you've got to have a fire in your belly to want something, I feel is very sort of knowledgeable and something that you cannot read in a textbook. So I feel that gathering all these rock star women, mostly women, and we've got a section for the fellas, you're right, it allows the future leaders, the up and coming leaders, to be able to see how we got there. Because I mean, I look back and, prior to, glass ceilings or breaking glass ceilings, before that phrase was even coined, we had these women before us that were breaking glass ceilings. And so they needed us to continue their legacy, which is to build what I say, beautiful, stained glass stages, so we can all dance on them hand in hand. And so we need to do our teaching and gift back to the generation coming up. So for me, that's my passion, is to get out of women such as yourself, Barbara, what your sort of secrets were and how you got to where you got to, and how people overcome, whether it's, trauma, tragedy, and how they become resilient and fearless, and sharing that with other people. Because I think, back in the day, I know for me, there was a time where everything was held very close to your chest and nobody wanted to share, because you didn't want to share with this person because, then they might take your idea and then they'll climb here. Where now it's very different, obviously. And so I just want to have a platform where people can come to share their authentic stories, but then other people can also learn and be inspired from them.
So I only found out about you, Adrian, and the I Am Unbreakable community just in the fall, just by coincidence. I think it was September when we connected. And it was like, you were fabulous, because immediately we started to meet each other in Toronto twice. And now we're doing some things together, doing these podcasts, you being the first one for me, and you coming to my Accelerate conference as a speaker. But I want to know, when did you start the Unbreakable community? When did it start? When did that fire and that passion come in?
I think I've always had it in me. I mean, I remember being a little kid and people would be like, go ask Adrian, she'll tell you, she's got the answers to everything, which I don't, by the way. But I think it really started through the private investigation agency. And I would have these amazing women, and men as well, but a large part of my clientele are women. And, I don't want to say, they were very amazing, every single one of them. And they taught me so much, but everything, they would have to be able to afford us, and to be able to afford private investigation at times can be costly. So these women were well educated, they were stay-at-home moms, they were, you know, single, they were whatever their marital or their situation was, but they all had the exact same issue. And that was, look, you are the only person I have ever told about this. You know, I think my husband is in a same-sex relationship. I think my business partner has, you know, is filtering money and stealing from us. My child has gone missing. There were these huge things that came to me, and people would latch on to me in a sense because I was their 911 call, and then we see them through. And so I think I told you quite early into private investigation, what I did was I got board certified through Tony Robbins, who I love and is one of my very near and dear mentors. And he always said to me, he said, you know, you were made for this, but you're going to be made for, you know, a bigger thing. And I was always like, I'm not sure, but okay. And I just, you know, I always file whatever he says in the back of my mind. And so I'm going to say to you, it probably started 20 years ago. And it was always the plan to have a podcast attached to the investigation side of things. I mean, when my kids were very little, we actually shot a pilot, which was picked up by some networks and syndicated in Canada and the US. And I ended up backing out just because of the stuff that was going on with some of my peers. And so I would say right before the C word, and I don't really give, you know, the pandemic a whole lot of attention, but I was going to start all the filming just before that hit. And we were deemed as an essential business, and our business grew 800% in the private investigation industry. So they needed they needed my attention. So I was there, but you know, it was always in the works. And then we started filming at the beginning of 2022. And no, wait, 2022. Yes, excuse me, the beginning of 2022. And then we started releasing episodes, I believe, in the fall of 2022. And here we are. I think we're about 100 episodes in. I think we've probably at episode 60. My team would know better than I am. I would with how many episodes we have out for people to view or listen to. But that's when it started. And then I woke up one night and thought it would be such a great idea to start a publication. I should have asked you first, Barbara. Anyways, I'm kidding. I love, love, love. To me, it's just another platform. It's another avenue where people can, you know, sort of listen to these wonderful stories or read these wonderful stories through the publication. So that's when it all started. And, you know, I've never looked back, and I don't think I ever will. I love what I do.
So currently you're digital, but you're going to be in print as well. Is that correct, Adrian?
That sure is. So we've got the first issue out. We do have some that we're printing and that actually are probably already printed for our contributors and some of our partners. And so we just got accepted into and onto a very big platform, which I guess I could say, but it's going to be in about 2 weeks, onto Apple News, which was huge. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of the publications right now, due to the environment and sustainability and whatnot, to have it environmentally friendly, there isn't a lot of people that are buying magazines. I personally, I'm still one of those people. I like a magazine, but it is not, you know, the best for the environment. So we will be doing a certain amount of printed material soon this year.
But otherwise, if I wanted to get a copy and subscribe to your digital magazine, how would I do that?
You could
Where
go
would
on
I go?
you could go on to our website. In a couple of weeks, you'll be able to go on to Apple News. We'll have our app there. There's so many different sort of avenues you could go through. I believe I've got it on my LinkedIn. I can definitely provide a link here. And, you know, for us, it really is about the reach. So, I mean, we're on Amazon, Spotify,
And how would someone
YouTube,
find you?
all of these other things. So our link is in all of our social media, all the
Say
links
it
to
out loud. Say it out loud.
the say it out loud, what? How to get it?
Yes, the link. Say it out loud. If I want someone to know about my Grow Your Biz, I say www.grow without the W,
There you go. See,
yourbiz.com.
I'm so not a salesy person, but
I,
yes, so
I
it's www.iamunbreakable.com and you go to the magazine or the shop section.
thank you.
Thank you,
And people
Barbara.
can buy it now, correct?
They sure
I
can.
think you've done about 100 podcasts, but you've said there's about 60 that are ready to go and people can go into them, right?
So yes, so you can watch on YouTube and you can
Right.
watch all 60. So we put out an episode every week, but we've still got about 40 that we have filmed that have not yet been released. And so we are going to be in a position that we're going to be releasing 2 a week soon. As you know, well, soon you'll know, they're very time consuming, but I love them because there's such a wealth of knowledge to be able to learn from somebody when you get 20 or 30 minutes sort of face to face. So I really do enjoy them. And then we also, on all our social media, we also have where you can purchase the magazine, as well as where you can view our view or listen to our podcasts.
And so out of all of those, and if you feel uncomfortable answering this one, don't,
No.
but who are some of your women heroes? Like you've been able to interact with so many at different ages. Do you right now, who are some of your women heroes that you think these are women that I have followed for many years, or you're just excited about them? Would you feel comfortable sharing some of
Sure
those? Are they
would.
in? Yeah,
I sure would. Well, you're one of them, first of all.
thank
So
you.
there's one. I'd have to say, and trust me, the relationship has not been an easy one, but I'd have to say my mother. And, I love her to pieces, and she has inspired me in many different ways, being a survivor of the Hungarian Revolution, essentially, not to go into a dark place, but essentially burying every single person that she's loved, including my sister, and has done it with such grace and such hope. And she's taught me a lot. She's a very strong lady at 88. But to go back to the heroes, so I do want to touch on my heroes today, but there's quite a few. But growing up, Oprah was my hero. I got to be honest with you. I would watch her all the time. And this again, you may want to edit this out, but this is just my truth. So I'm just going to be honest with you. I watched her. The one that people, I don't want to say underdogs, but the ones that had to fight to sort of make it. And she did. I just love what she did, where she came from, her whole story, what she created, the brand, the business, everything. And she actually inspired me to start my first business. Although she did say, I'm still looking for the episode, although she did say, where there's a will, there's a way. Don't say money is holding you back. She says, I knew somebody that started a business on a credit card, and a light bulb went off. I went, ding, so they won't give me the money. I'll borrow it and I'll just pay it all back. And I certainly did. That's how I started one of my first businesses. But it's funny because somebody once said to me and asked me this exact question. I said, Oprah. And then they looked at me and they went, well, she's Black, right? And I went, she is? And they didn't know what to say, right? Because I don't look at color. I don't look at gender. I've never had somebody say that to me. So I was really taken aback when she actually said that. I was kind of like, oh, okay. So, I have to be honest with you, now you've stumped me. So I would say growing up, it was Oprah, my mom, and I'm not saying it because it's you, but there's you. There's every woman that I have interviewed has been an inspiration and motivation and a hero to me in some way, shape, or form. Something has caught my attention of what they've done, the story they've lived, the obstacles that they've come through, gone over, army crawled under, whatever they've done. I find every person, every woman that I have spoken to so incredible. So I really, and I just want to say one last thing too, is the women from that I have serviced through private investigation, they have taught me so much resilience. I mean, I just think a quarter of what they went through, you know, I always think, would I be able to handle that, right? And they have handled it. They have handled it, and they've turned tragedy, which, as you know, is going to be one of my TED Talks, is turning, kind of flipping the script on tragedy and trauma. And it's interesting how human behavior works that way and how they have been able to do so. So is it, I'm going to say
So
all women.
in your fantasy, who is the next woman that you would really like to interview and have on your podcast?
Shelley Z from the Female Quotient.
Mhm.
Do you
Well,
know who she is?
no, I don't. See,
Look her up. I've actually just shocking, but maybe you're good luck for me that the fact that you asked me that. But her PR agent just got back to me. I didn't even read the email as of yet, but while we were doing our podcast, so not while we're doing, like, in between our
yes,
thing.
yes, yes.
So,
Can you spell her name? I'm tone deaf, so I didn't pick it up.
oh,
Who is
okay,
it?
Shelley, and I'm going to
Is it
spell her
Shelley?
Shelley, Shelley, and just give me 30 seconds because I always get her last name incorrect. Z A, now I have to see my glasses, Lis. And she is the founder of the Female Quotient. So she's doing amazing things. Amazing
Okay.
things. So it would be interesting. So let's see, you know, 3 months or 12 months from now, if I've manifested it and I could do it. My whole thing is, and again, she's just somebody that I really admire. You know, she calls herself a disruptor. I really admire what she's doing and the lengths that she's going to. She's heavy into, you know, the advancement and closing the gap, and the gender gap for pay for a lot of different things. So she's doing a lot of amazing things. But, you know, to me, I go back to saying, I don't think I'm the solution. I think I'm just part of the solution. I think all of us are part of the solution, right? Even the amazing things that you're doing, you are a big part of the solution.
Well, it's interesting. So we'll manifest her name right now. Shelley Zalis, founder of the Female Quotient. I want you to connect with the amazing Adrianne Fekete, and I will send you the reasons why. So there you go. Who knows what could happen, right? It's you got to
Absolutely.
manifest, right? It's
Oh, I'm
it's
a firm believer in that. You know, people think it's sort of hokey, and I don't know if you ever heard the story about Jim Carrey. He was homeless prior to his movie The Mask, and a year prior, as he's living on the streets, he wrote himself a check for $1 million and he put it in his pocket. And to the date, exact date, 1 year later, he went into the studio after filming Mask and picked up a check for $1 million. You can't make that nonsense up. And
okay.
I have seen it for
Okay.
myself. And I think if you believe, you know, that we're all energy and, you know, and
Hmm.
if you're sort of open to things, I'm huge in and a very big believer in that.
Well, that's very great to hear that because um, I wrote a check for I haven't done it yet. I bought a building in 2000
Mm.
and I leased it out right now, but I did the same thing. I wrote a check and said, I know what I bought this for, and I'm writing a check for this amount, and I won't sell it until I get that amount. So there you go. So I know
Oh,
it can happen.
see, and we're
I
having this conversation. How would I ever know you've done that, right?
yeah,
So
exactly.
to me, I
Exactly.
think it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
So I know we've got the time is going up, but how would you in in a sentence, how would you describe the Unbreakable, I Am Unbreakable community? Because you are a community now.
Yes. One sentence. I'm never lost.
Okay, give it to.
So, fearless, resilient, a community, strong, authentic, amazing, and rock star.
Awesome. You are a rock star. So, Adrian, I'm so incredibly pleased that you reached out to me. Or I don't know how do we connect, right?
I
It was
reached out to you.
LinkedIn.
Oh, I reached out to you, Barbara. I reached out to
And it
you.
was like, and after that, there was a kindred spirit between us two, that you're going to be there forever in my life. And I know you're going to be speaking at Accelerate 2024 in Vancouver. You will be taking the stage, and I love your title. You're going to talk about through the eyes of a private investigator, and you are on a mission. It's your next mission, and I know that people will enjoy hearing your private investigator stories, what you do for women, because I really believe you are truly a woman who elevates and empowers others. And I know you will continue to do that. And I know that one day you'll have the chance to also interview Shelley Zalish. Or I don't even know how to pronounce her name.
I think it's Zealous or Zealous, and she says it and it's quick. And so thank you so much. And I am honored to always be connected with you. As I said, the way that you sort of embrace everybody and all the lives that you touch, I am honored to be part of your community.
And I know in my community that we'll have at the Accelerate conference, you are offering, and we are going to do this, we're going to have a special room where you can do some wonderful podcasts with some of the entrepreneurs, male and female, business, government, whoever's there, that you can do a podcast with them. And we will set that up for you as well as your presentation. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, and enjoy those movie stars behind you, their photographs. Look, all the greats, right? And that's how I see you. You are a great lady.
Oh, thank you. Big love to you. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm thrilled and honored to be the first.